Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Welcome to today's reading from Gauranga, the Golden Incarnation of Divine Love by His Holiness Jayapataka Swami. We are reading from section 2 of the book Navadvipa and Youth Pastimes. Then he saw Gadadhar. He called out, "Gadadhar has been so long. It's been so long. Why are you hiding?" Then Lord Chaitanya asked him, "Please, I have just one question. Could you tell me what is the meaning of mukti? What is the meaning of liberation?" Lord Chaitanya would very humbly, very nicely come up and just ask a seemingly very simple question. What is liberation? But everyone knew that any question by Lord Chaitanya was loaded. He had a great sense of humor. It was very sweet how he behaved with everyone, and he had complete control of every situation. Just like Krishna was enjoying with the cowherd boys, Lord Chaitanya was enjoying walking around town with his students. Then Gadadhar quoted from the Upanishads that liberation means a complete ending of all types of material misery. Lord Chaitanya said, "This is not complete." Then Lord Chaitanya started to quote from so many different scriptures. Gadadhar started thinking, he never studied all these scriptures. How does he know every Vedic scripture, every Vedic literature? I only know the name of the scripture, but I can't even find the manuscripts. How can he recite shlokas and verses from every one of these? I don't remember that he ever studied these. How is that humanly possible? Then Lord Chaitanya started to establish that real liberation is not just negation of material misery, but is actually the establishment of Krishna consciousness. The establishment of one's relationship with Krishna. Complete liberation means not only material misery negated, but positive spiritual ananda, Satchid Anand Vigraha, when full blissful knowledge is realized, when the complete form of Krishna is realized. That is complete liberation. Gadadhar didn't know what to say, so Lord Chaitanya said, "Why don't you think about it, and then tomorrow we will meet." There was no shortage of great scholars in Navadvipa, but even as a young man, Lord Chaitanya defeated everyone. He would ask someone different types of questions, and the person would be perplexed and would say, "Long live Nimai Pandit, you are a great scholar." In this way, he exhibited a very kind, mellow mood. He was not harsh at all. Then all the people were saying, "Well, obviously he is a devotee, but this is not pure devotional service. This is getting into Vidya, simply knowledge, education and philosophy. It is not really the pure practice of Krishna consciousness or Bhakti Yoga." They would be praying, "May Krishna bless this Nimai Pandit to become a devotee. If he becomes a pure devotee, then it will be very great for the whole of humanity." Sometimes the elderly people would meet Lord Chaitanya in front of his students and would chastise him. They would say, "What is the use of this materialistic learning and all these big shows and scholastic pursuit without pure bhakti for Krishna? You should simply surrender unto the spiritual master and preach pure God consciousness. Krishna consciousness is the real spiritual practice, nothing else." Lord Chaitanya would reply, "Yes, I want to do this, but just for a little longer. I am going to enjoy this scholastic pursuit. As soon as I reach my spiritual master and get the mercy, I will definitely take up pure devotional service." He was not arguing with them, he would agree. In this way, Nimai Pandit became well known by everyone. People didn't know that Lord Chaitanya was actually Krishna. They took it for granted that he was, of course, leading a holy life, a very pure life as a pure Brahman, and they respected that. He was a great scholar, a great Pandit, but he was keeping his actual identity hidden from them. and he was always joking with different people in various subtle and very humorous ways. When Lord Chaitanya would go around the town with the students, it was such a wonderful sight. He didn't have to ask to anybody for anything. As he would walk by, people would feel honored and give gifts to him. He was equal with everyone. He would just go and knock at someone's house and they would welcome him and give him a nice seat. He would go into a handloomer's house and the handloomer would pay his obeisances because the greatest scholar in the town was visiting his home. He would say, "What can I do for you?" And Lord Chaitanya would ask, "What clothes do you have? Maybe I could have some new clothes. What is the latest cloth? Give me this one, give me this dhoti." Every 10 days he would get a whole new set. He was a very tasteful dresser. The Lord would ask for the price and the handloomer would say, "Well, you know the price, you give what you want to give." So he would give some conch shells. In those days, they didn't use money so much. They used conch shells. Of course, for big things, they used money, but little things like cloth, they would give some conch shells. He would buy and put on his new set, then give the old set to his students and go. Then he would visit the cowherds. When he came near the cowherds, he would say, "Hey Gopalas, hey cowherds." Then they would say, "Oh Nimai Pandit, come." They would give him a nice seat, wash his feet and bow down. Lord Chaitanya would say, "Bring the milk, bring yogurt, bring the ghee, bring the cheese, and I don't have any money. How will I pay?" "That's all right," they would say. They brought seats for the students and they gave them so many offerings of milk products. In this way there was various little exchanges. Sometimes Lord Chaitanya would encourage them in various ways. Then he would leave the cowherders and continue his tour of the town. Sometimes Lord Chaitanya would visit the scented oil merchant. Again they would give him a nice seat and the Lord would ask, "Well, what do you have today?" The merchant would reply, "I have such an oil that if you put it on today, go to bed and tomorrow morning you still don't have the scent, you can get your money back." Lord Chaitanya said, "Well, I don't have any money. I'm just a poor Brahman, a poor scholar. I don't have any money." They would all melt when they saw Lord Chaitanya. All these people, after performing many austerities, they were able to be here in Navadvipa associating with the Lord in an informal way. He was just visiting their houses, sitting with them, talking with them. Then they would give some oil to the disciples and they would rub oil on his body. Then he would leave the oilman's house and continue down the street. All the other scholars would say, "Here comes Nimai Pandit. He looks like a lion coming with his whole pride." After that, Lord Chaitanya went to the forest and met the person who makes the garlands. With great respect, he offered a seat to the Lord Chaitanya. The Lord said, "Well, do you have any garland for a humble Brahman?" And the garland maker gave a beautiful garland to Lord Chaitanya. The Lord said, "I don't have any money." "Well, you can give or not give. That is not a problem. Actually, this is all for you." In this way, Lord Chaitanya gave his merciful glance to the garland makers. Again, he went walking with the students. He went to the house of pan merchant who gave him a nice seat and offered him all respect. He offered him some nice pan with different types of spices. Lord Chaitanya took the pan and gave his mercy. In this way, he was going with all his followers and visiting everyone, and everyone was reciprocating with him. Just as Lord Krishna would walk around Mathura and everyone would come to see him, Lord Chaitanya was similarly walking around the whole Navadvip, from house to house, person to person. Everyone was conscious of Lord Chaitanya. Actually, they were hoping that Lord Chaitanya would visit again. It wasn't every day that he would visit. He was just going gradually from one house to another. Once Lord Chaitanya visited an astrologer who had some special power to see the future. So Lord Chaitanya went there and with great respect he said, "You are a scholar. You know the past, present and future. Could you tell me what I was in my previous birth?" The astrologer started to chant the Gopal Krishna mantra. to give him his special vision. He started to look at Lord Chaitanya and then closed his eyes and started meditating. All of a sudden, in his vision, he saw the Shankh Chakra Gada Padma, the lotus flower, conch shell, club, and Sudarshan Chakra disc in the hands of Lord Narayan. He was completely astonished. Gradually, his vision was changing, and then he saw a baby inside a prison house. Narayan became a baby in the hands of Vasudev and Devaki. Vasudev took the baby across the raging river to the place of Nanda and Yashoda in Gokul and gave the blue-colored boy Krishna to Mother Yashoda. Then he saw the boy grow up and saw him breastfeeding from Mother Yashoda. Then he saw him going to the forest, playing songs on his flute, tending the cows and dancing in the Ras Leela. Like this, the whole Krishna Leela was happening before him. I am seeing this, he thought. Then he opened his eyes and saw Lord Chaitanya. Shachinandan, he couldn't understand why I am seeing this. Then the astrologer closed his eyes again and began to meditate. He saw Ramchandra, green-colored with his bow, and Hanuman, the great monkey. He started to see the Matsya incarnation, the divine fish swimming in the big ocean, saving the Vedas. Then he saw Bali being saved by Vaman and saw the form of Lord as Nrsimhadev killing Hiranyakashipu. He saw the form of Lord as Varaha lifting up the earth from the lower regions of the universe where it fell and became dislocated from its orbit. In this way, he was amazed to see different incarnations of Lord. Then he again opened his eyes and looked at Lord Chaitanya. He saw that he was very powerful and effulgent, filled with spiritual potency. Then he thought, this is some great mystic yogi or some great demigod who has come, and somehow he is giving me all these visions just to bewilder me, to somehow test me. He is not an ordinary person. Because of the illusion, he couldn't figure out why he was seeing these visions, that this was Krishna himself and these were his previous births, his previous avatars. Because the illusion was covering him, he didn't understand. You can't realize Krishna if he doesn't want you to. Even if he is standing in front of you, you won't be able to actually have the faith, have that understanding that is actually Krishna. This is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the astrologer became completely bewildered. He offered his obeisances to Lord Chaitanya, but he thought that he was maybe some kind of demigod that had descended. He could not understand who Lord Chaitanya was. He didn't tie these things together, even though he had all these visions. The same thing happened in Krishna's pastimes when the astrologer Garg Muni went to see Krishna. At that time, Nanda asked Garg Muni to preview the horoscope of Krishna, and he saw that in his previous births Krishna was green, yellow and red. In this way he had the vision of Krishna's previous incarnations. On another occasion, Lord Chaitanya went with his followers to see the banana salesman named Sridhar. He used to sell banana flowers, the core of banana trees and various types of vegetables, and he was a very poor man. But Lord Chaitanya would go to see him and he would give Lord Chaitanya a very nice seat, and again this was very nice reciprocation. Lord Chaitanya asked him, how is everything? Sridhar said, well, whatever I am getting, I am trying to offer 50% for Ganges Puja. Then Lord Chaitanya would say, but your cloth has got holes in it and there are holes in your roof. Look at all the people worshipping various demigods. They are so rich and you are so poor. You are the devotee of the Supreme Lord, who is the husband of Goddess of Fortune. Why are you so poor? Why is it that these people who are worshipping demigods and doing the materialistic activities are so rich? So then the banana seller Sridhar said, my cloth may be short, or it may be long, or it may have 1 or 2 rips. But after all, I have cloth and that is enough, and the house is air conditioned. He said, whether one is a big king with so many jewels, So many servants, so much wealth and opulence, or one is a bird in a tree without any cloth, without any helper. He goes alone and picks up some sticks from here and there and builds his own house and picks up some grains to feed his family. The happiness is there in both and misery is there in both. I am simply concerned with serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, simply practicing my devotional service. I don't care about trying to imitate the materialistic people. Actually, Sridhar, the banana salesman, knew that in the material world, no matter what position you take, there is always a mixture of happiness and distress. You may be a big head of state, but you will have your you will have your headaches and also some joy. But nobody has either pure joy or pure headache. It is mixed. Kulavecha Sridhar, his offering was simple. Whatever he had, he was offering to Krishna. He was thinking, if Krishna wants to make me rich, he can make me rich. I am working in my honest way, selling vegetables. I am doing whatever I can. I am not going to stop worshipping Krishna. He was always very happy. He was happy because he was independent of the material situation. Even though he was in a poor condition, he was actually the richest person. Lord Chaitanya told him, actually, you are a very, very rich person. I know that you have somewhere hidden some huge wealth. I'm going to reveal it one day and let everyone know that this is all a show. Actually, you are the richest person in Navadvipa. You are very rich, so you should give me some bananas and some vegetables because I don't have any money. Sridhar was a very simple devotee, so he was thinking, it is a great opportunity for me. He is a pure Brahman. He is a great master coming to my shop. Actually, he was a little afraid of offending Lord Chaitanya, but actually Lord Chaitanya was doing it in a friendly way, and Sridhar was taking it like that. He didn't want Lord Chaitanya to go anywhere else, so he gave Lord Chaitanya some bananas and some other vegetables. Lord Chaitanya would regularly eat only the vegetables from Sridhar. Then again Chaitanya said, I am going to reveal your real hidden form one day. Actually, Lord Chaitanya was telling the truth because banana salesman Sridhar was the richest person. He had pure devotion for Krishna. Krishna was keeping him in that poor condition just to show the example of how a devotee, even in a poor condition, does not give up. It is not that just because he is in an opulent position that he is devotee. Even if a devotee goes through tough times, a devotee stays very dedicated in service. Sometimes Krishna takes a devotee and makes an example, just to show people that he is a pure devotee, and to show that way a pure devotee should act even in difficulty. Lord Chaitanya eventually did reveal his actual glory, but since he was not revealing his position, naturally he also did not reveal Kolavecha Sridhar's at that time. Lord Chaitanya's wedding pastime and Buddhimanta Khan. When the Lord was an older youth, his wedding was arranged, and a businessman named Buddhimanta Khan said he would pay for the whole wedding. He said, in fact, I don't want this to be an ordinary wedding. I want this to be like a princess wedding. The identity of Buddhimanta Khan is interesting. In a previous Sugha, there lived a great king by the name of Suvarnasena, whose palace was called Suvarna Vihar in Godrum Dweep, which is one of the 9 islands of Navadvipa. Though he was a very pious king, he was performing all kinds of religious sacrifices to get good karma. He was not so spiritual. He mostly desired material blessings. Anyway, he was a very religious person and a very good person. So Narad Muni came to see him. Narad Muni is a great spiritual master who is a son of Brahma, the first living being of the universe. He actually is a liberated soul. He can fly through the subtle airways wherever he wants. He travels around the universe and gives spiritual wisdom to different people in different planets. He is an interplanetary traveler. So Narad appeared to King Suvarnasena, and the king gave him the special royal seat of honor for the Guru and bathed his feet. Narad saw the king was very respectful and had given him a very good reception. Then he thought, let me give this king a blessing. So he asked him, what religious activity do you do in your kingdom? The king said, I do all these activities, I do all these pious activities. What, uh, what is your goal? I want to go to heaven. I want my kingdom to be successful, my family to be healthy, all material blessings. Then Narad Muni explained, well, there is nothing wrong with what you are doing. It is good, but these are all material things. People may be living together as a family now, but just like straws in water, sometimes there are little whirlpools and the straws are brought together. Then the whirlpool breaks up and the straws are separated. We are all together in different families in this life, but in next life, we will be like with some other family in some other place. We shouldn't just think about our family or the material side. We should also see the spiritual side, because that's what we carry with us. Narad Muni continued, by the way, you are thinking of a holy land in the age of Kali. Lord Chaitanya will appear here. Lord Gauranga, the golden avatar of Krishna, he simply spreads freely love for Krishna to everyone. In this particular incarnation, his quality is that he doesn't consider who is qualified for or who is unqualified. He simply gives out his mercy freely without discrimination. We'll continue from here onwards next time. Hare Krishna. Thank you for joining.